I was wrong in doing what I did. No! Are you listening? Hang on, I can't even catch my breath. Hang on.
Sean here. Today I thought I would freestyle about what it would be like if you married Lorne Lynn Armstrong after 10 years. The 10 test, as I call it, and I think a few other people call it that, if you can make it to 10 years and you haven't murdered each other or gotten a divorce, there's a chance you're going to stay together. Now, I will say, the percentage of marriages where there's infidelity is larger than you would think, which is why I try not to dwell on things that happened in my marriage at the time, because I might overanalyze it. But sometimes I do wonder. I don't think she did. I'm about 60-40, but I can tell you that there were times I wondered. And believe it or not, the percentage of marriages which have infidelity in them are much higher than you would think or than you have read. At least from the actual studies that were done, anonymous studies. And they would rather risk losing everything when their spouse finds out than to be open and honest up front and have a slight chance that you can salvage the relationship or the marriage. If you're not married and your significant other has cheated on you, get out. If you stay, you have no respect for yourself. I have no respect for you. No one should have respect for you. Even if you think that you love the person. Once a cheater, always a cheater. We're talking about Lorne. Lorne is a cheater. We know he's tried to cheat on just about every catfish girlfriend there's ever been. Winnie with her daughter, Winnie with whoever else, and Debbie. I mean, it's just this convoluted web of overlaying women for him. An unrepentant redneck pedophile has a harem of women over the phone, of course. But I think Lorne, the first second he was asked to, hey, you want to go over here by the dumpster? He'd be over there in a heartbeat. Now, he would probably on the way before he could even unzip his pants. But we know he would cheat. And I know I'm hard on people. I just watched cheating destroy marriages. I've watched it wreck people. I mean, drive them to the point where you don't even recognize them anymore. The worst one I saw stayed. And the worst part about it is, she gaslit him that he was the reason she was driven into another man's arms. What I told him was that you did not drive her into another man's arms. She spread her legs and another man's penis got stuck inside her. Because I had to be honest with him and blunt and say, dude, do not let this happen. What are you doing? Finally, 3 years later, they got divorced, no kids. That's what the deal was. He had no kids. All he had to consider was himself and whether or not he was going to go through this, because it will stay with you through your marriage. Why am I bringing this up? Because Lorne is dumb, really dumb. And if he did cheat, he would get caught, or he would get drunk one night and tell her about this girl named Lori that he had sex with. And she's going to go, oh, I know a Lori, our friend Lori. Oh, yeah, that's her. You know Lorne, he's going to say it. Once a spouse finds out that you cheated, it will stay forever. And it's always in the back of their mind. And it can get to the point where that spouse is so angry that even if they don't feel attracted to somebody, they feel a slight attraction, they're going to do it. You did it, so why can't I do it? And when you're confronting her about it, she's going to say, well, you did it to me. It happens. Marriage is crazy, man. It makes people crazy, which is why I just can't see anybody marrying Lorne. I think Lorne has had a mini stroke or a couple mini strokes before. There's another video I've got. I've done all the research. I just have to record it. It's just really crazy before Christmas. I think this one might tie in with Joran. I don't know. But what I'm going to talk about with Lorne will tie in with Joran. Back to what I'm talking about right now. I think Lorne is going to be forgetful. You're going to hear the same stories over and over, but slightly different. Each time he tells them, it's going to be slightly different. And he's going to blame his memory for his lies. you're going to have a hard time telling what is it that he's forgetting and what is it that he's honestly lying. What is it that he's actually lying about? Think about the hell that would be. Someone who has had a couple mini strokes, has memory problems, can't remember what stories they've told you, which is common, and they tell you the story again, but it's a little different. And in one of the versions they tell you, something that would have hurt you comes up. Something they may not even be paying attention to. Because if they were lying all of the time, it would slip out. But if they honestly forgot and you confronted them, you would have to try to figure it out yourself. Are they telling the truth or did they forget? And that's what it would be like with Lorne every time he opened his mouth. I think you guys know that I would never make fun of anybody for having any of these conditions. And if Lorne really did have a condition, I would not make fun of him for certain things. I think he's just selfish and dumb. I think he has a couple disorders, but I don't think he has a true learning disability. I think his only learning disability is himself. The truth is, it's only a disability if you let it be. It's only a disorder if you let it be chaos. If you know you have it, if you feel like you have something like that is going on in your life, you take charge of it. When I thought I was bipolar, when I figured out, okay, look, my mood swings are not normal. I need to see somebody. I did, and I'm not a hero. I'm one of thousands who said, enough, I can't do this alone, I need some help. I truly don't think Lorne believes he needs help. I just don't. In your marriage, you'd be about 5 years in, and you'd be saying, Lorne, you really need to go see somebody. Your anger is getting worse. Because familiarity, Jesus Christ, Sean, breeds contempt. So when you get married, you are basically, knock, knock, hold on, let me open the door. It's contempt. Come on in. You're inviting that into your relationship. You are daring contempt to show its face. And you're telling it, if you do, we're going to overcome it. Think about it. You're dating. You decide you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person. And familiarity breeds contempt. So you challenge it. With familiarity with Lorne, it's a little different. He's going to see that as a green light. He's going to see it as, okay, we've known each other for a while. We're 5 years into this marriage. She ain't going nowhere. I've not let her have a job. I've not let her do anything. She has no prospects. I have no prospects. The only way out is with another guy, and I'm going to block that at all turns. She's not going to be allowed to go anywhere without me. She's going to stay at the trailer. Roy's not going to be allowed to come over. True story. My cousin Matt and a guy by the name of Sean, not me, that I should have throat punched at the time, but I didn't. Sean was alone, his girlfriend was alone, and something happened with the sink. And Matt, who had been friends with Sean for years, goes over and he helps her stop the water from exploding all over the place. This psycho, this abuser comes home, and he starts screaming and yelling at her, pushes her up against the wall, calls Matt, threatens to kill him because he dared to step into that house while he wasn't there. I've seen it. So this is what I think Lorne would do, because he's a psycho. Ask yourself this, and be honest. I want you to be honest with yourself. Be honest. I'm not joking. Ask yourself this. If I was at work, and my spouse was at home, and whatever sex they were attracted to walks in the door, naked, and they're attractive, would your spouse act on it? Think about it, and don't just give a quick answer. Think about it. See, I think Lorne, in his head, he's already made up his mind. No guy will ever be there. The cable guy better be a cable woman, and she better be, as Lorne would say, fat lady with warts all over her body. She better not even be attractive. See, what Lorne is going to do, oh boy, I know some strange people. What Lorne would do is do what happened to my friend Ronnie. Now, I haven't talked to Ronnie in over 10 years. And I assure you, he would never listen to this, and you would never find out his name. He kept his wife under lock and key. He wouldn't let her go anywhere. He was that guy with the cameras, like we've mentioned before. There's other guys out there with the cameras, and they got sensors on the windows. He would only allow women to be around. So guess what? His wife fell in love with another woman, and they escaped. It wouldn't shock me if Lorne drove his unfortunate wife into the arms of one of the only people they were allowed to see, and if they showed them any attention, and there's nothing wrong with, but you know what I'm saying, a straight person, if they were treated like that by Lorne and they showed them any attention, they're going to assume that, wow, that person really cares about me, because they've never had any, they're starved for it. They'd probably latch onto them and escape. But of course Lorne would try to track them down wherever they go. Luckily he's in 87 and he wouldn't be able to do it. But it happens. It happens. Overprotective guys that abuse their women, keep them under lock and key, and the woman just wants to get out, and she's never felt love, she's never felt compassion, caring, anything. She's never felt any of it. The first person that shows her any of that is gonna be her object of affection. She's going to want that because she doesn't get it from anywhere else. She's going to want to drink from the source. So I think that might happen with Lorne, the way he keeps his women on lockdown, or would keep them, because he's never had a woman. This is going to be a little difficult, a little rough to say, but I don't think sex with Lorne would always be consensual. I don't think it would be. I think Lorne is a redneck. He's selfish. He wants whatever he wants. He will do whatever it takes to get satisfaction. Whatever in his head he needs at that moment, he thinks he wants. I don't think all of the sex would be consensual, because I think Lorne believes if we're together, that's your right as a woman. You need to clean and cook, and you need to pop out babies. I don't know about you guys, but when my ex and I were planning to have kids, we planned it. You had to come off birth control, and you know how it is. If those of you with kids. I mean, there are some unexpected gifts, and some of those kids have turned out to be some of my best friends. So anyway, moving on. I think it would not be consensual. I think she would be pregnant constantly, even if she didn't want to be. Imagine this. She's like, yeah, I want to stop at 3 kids. I think it's too much. Lorne would be remembering in his head how much she needed him to go to the store, to do everything, and how he thought no other guy would find her attractive because in his eyes she was fat, and I bet he would tell her she was fat because Lorne's a piece of shit. Man, sometimes I have to take a breath. I think he would want to keep her pregnant, whether she wanted to be pregnant or not. And I told you the guy, they're on their 6th kid. He likes to keep his wife pregnant. That way she has to stay at home. She doesn't have to get a job. They're not living well. If she would go out and get a job, they'd be doing fine, but he won't allow it to happen. And she's even said in front of him, yeah, you know, I don't really want any more, but you know him, he wants more kids. So you could just see the desperation in her face, like, would somebody please save me? This is a fake smile. We talked about this in another video. You would eventually be cut off from speaking to anyone if you weren't in Lorne's presence where he could monitor what you say. Lorne is his own cult. The way he would treat a woman and the way he tries to treat women is like a cult. He wants to control the narrative. If you look at Scientology, allegedly, reportedly, because they will come after even the smallest person if you criticize them, they have handlers. You have to be handled. You have to make sure you get from point A to point B, that you don't deviate, that you don't try to escape. This is Lorne. That is essentially what would happen. He would be her handler. They would want to make sure you said, they'd make you rehearse what you were going to say. Lorne would make his unfortunate wife rehearse what she was going to say to other people. If she had a black eye, if she had scratches all over her body, whatever it was. And even if she didn't, well, when they ask you how it's going, what you going to tell them? No. You know how he does. No. He's a jackass. He would want her to rehearse. He'd have to hear it. He'd want to edit the lines. He'd be like a director. And if she said anything out of line, the first moment that nobody was paying attention to him, he would give her the "Grr, look, that's not what we went over." It would not be a good life. Money-wise, he'd only want to work just enough so you could squeak by, because he would want to be at home half some time. I was hoping I had some time with you tonight. He's a dumb shit. And yes, I'm fired up about this guy tonight. He would want to take his wife places and then get mad if other people talk to her, because he wants people to know he's got a woman, but he doesn't want people to talk to that woman. So maybe his dream would be a woman in a glass box with wheels on the bottom, and he just carts her around and says, "Hey, this is my wife. No sound can get in, no sound can get out. There's a teeny little air hole so she can survive." I mean, this is all shit that I think Lorne would agree to. I'm being serious. He is so dumb. You would not be eating quality food, so you'd probably be very large. As I said before, you would have no access to the doctor. You'd be unhealthy. You'd feel unwell. You'd be unwell. Now, your children, he might let you take the children. I don't know if he thinks the children would be like a shield, like, well, if any guy sees that she has kids, she'll know. But I don't even think that. I think he'd be the one to take the children, and Lorne doesn't have any business in a room. He would only go because his wife probably was on him, like, take them, Lorne, they have to go. Or, you know, I didn't know, I wasn't going to take them, but Mom told me I need to take the kids. I think he would want to take him, and he has no business, because he can't communicate with a doctor. He'd be telling the doctor the answer, because he's so dumb. If you got in a fight with somebody at work or an argument, Lorne would go to your work. If your boss said something you didn't like, he'd go to your work. I think you would have Lorne at your work whenever anybody said anything. And if a guy said something to you and you accidentally mentioned that you spoke to a guy, Lorne would be at your work. Your life would be hell, because if you were allowed to have a job, he would select it. He would tell you where you want to go. If you had a college degree and you had a dream to work in whatever dream field it is, you can forget it, because you're going to be working somewhere where you're isolated and there are no guys. I mean, I honestly believe that. I think if you could make it to 10 years with Lorne, it would be a miracle, because he's a monster. He's everything you hate about people rolled into one person. For 10 years, you would probably be cheated on if you ever had the chance to do it. You would be miserable. You would be unwell. You would have a lot of children, and you would be having sex sometimes, even when you didn't want it, even when you didn't ask for it. And if you can survive 10 years with him, it would, like I said, it would be a miracle, because he is the worst person on this planet. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.